bunch of sensors in the car that can detect very sudden deceleration, which, if you think about it, is a sign that you've hit something hard. Those sensors have to send a signal very quickly then to a pyrotechnic igniter that essentially sets off a controlled explosion inside the car, which is the only way that you could produce gas fast enough to inflate those airbags in time. While this is happening, your seatbelt, which now has pre-tensioners fitted inside of it, tightens to keep you in the right place for the airbag. And then, as you hit that airbag, they have also got to make sure that it has just the right amount of vents so that you aren't just bouncing off the thing. It's got to deflate with your head. All of that happens within 30 milliseconds after impact in this car. Blinking your eye is about 100. It's insane. There's no such thing as an official car safety rating at this time, but the tests that Mercedes did on this car to show how safe it was ended up becoming most of the global crash test requirements later on. A lot of very interesting things going on with this interior as well. So there's a switch down here that actually allows you to change the tone and volume of your horn depending on if you're in the city or if you're in the country. Or alternatively, just how pissed you are. You're either this or you're this. Oh! And this alarm clock looking thing is essentially the first time you'd have had access to preemptive car heating. You could pop in first thing in the morning and tell your car that in 20 minutes time you want it warm. I didn't expect the tech would be so advanced in 1979. Oh yeah, and then this little wheel here is actually probably my favorite bit. This allows you to choose where in the car the speakers are the loudest. So dial it all the way forward and the two people in the front seat can hear it. And dial it all the way back, it's party time in the back seat. A lot more squishy, soft touch plastics in the cabin as well. Ooh. Now combine all of that and you can see why this was a golden era for Mercedes. This actually became the best-selling Mercedes-Benz luxury saloon of all time with 818,000 units. But while the 1979 S-Class was the car that started to reap the benefits from the whole computing revolution that was happening at the time, it was only in 1991 that Mercedes truly capitalized on it. So while before the vast majority of car features still used to be controlled by mechanical parts, you know, lever.
Nothing here makes sense.
That's why I fucking lost it last time. I most expect me to see with this. What the fuck's this?
levers, springs, etc. This was the car in which a lot of that was replaced by microchips. There were microchips in the suspension system, so the car felt smooth and floaty when you're on the motorway, but then stable and planted as soon as you start turning a corner. There are microchips in the engine, which meant that while before, when you pressed the accelerator pedal, you were physically pulling a cable that opened the engine's throttle, you know, kind of like tugging on a string to open a flap. It's different here. Here, you press that accelerator pedal and you're actually sending a signal to an engine computer, which handles the acceleration smoother and less suddenly on-off jerky. There are microchips responsible for the boot, with the ability to know when it's not completely closed and to pull it into position. Not to mention this absolutely sick button that releases a handle almost out of nowhere so that you can lift up your boot without greasing up the car that you've just cleaned today. There are even chips controlling the interior. Like, this car could manage the temperature separately for driver and passenger. There is even a microchip in the frickin' door to save your seat settings. Like, look at this. Look, if I hold number 2, it's going to move everything. It's moving the mirrors, it's moving the steering wheel, it's moving my seat forward. This is more advanced than, like, most cars nowadays. Just generally, though, this 1991 S-Class became widely known for being insanely over-engineered, but in the best kind of way. Mercedes spent so much money just trying to make this the best, most imposing thing on the road that for the first few years, they were actually losing money while selling this thing. I kind of see why. Like, this is the first time one of these cars feels silent to drive. I'm basically able to talk to you at almost whisper volume, which is kind of insane considering that the engine is still absolutely powerful. It's like 402 horsepower compared to the 0.75 we started with. Oh, but also, you want to talk about things that are extra. These windows right here, they are double glazed acoustic windows. Just listen to the difference between when it's open and when it's closed. Oh yeah, you want to see the single most straight out of a Transformers movie thing that I think I've ever seen on a car? Put it into reverse, and parking rods will actually extend from the vehicle so that when you're reversing, you have a visual indicator of where the car is, because the thing's just so damn big. Can you believe that these two cars are 7 years apart? If you told me they were 70 years apart, I probably believed you, but no, this is the 1998 S-Class. And the changes is partly an efficiency thing, with the 1998 car now having an even tinier drag coefficient of just 0.27 compared to the 0.31 of the 1991 model. But the even bigger thing here is societal change. In the 80s and the early 90s, people who had lots of money wanted to show it. Lots of shiny metal and gold, pop-up headlights, big spoilers. But by the end of the 90s, high-income buyers had shifted more towards quiet luxury. If you know kind of became the new status symbol.
Right.
And this is very much that, kind of embodied by one of the new features, keyless go. So this is the first Mercedes car for which this key fob emits a radio signal that is picked up by sensors in the door handles, which means all you have to do to open it is to have the key somewhere on you and touch the door handles.
Fucking thing. Like I was saying before, almost fucked up, not fucking BC, not fucking cam, in the fucking laptop too. I got so fucking mad because the fucking thing.
It's understated, but slick. The car is lower, it's a little bit smaller. To be honest, when this thing came out, a lot of people hated how generic the thing looked. People called it a bar of soap on wheels. But as the years went on and they continued to refine it, this did become the default design language of Mercedes. Oh.
Welcome to High Level. We're an all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to
Now where am I?
Wow. Wow.
Okay, wow, even the interior is following that same smoothed out design language. It feels improved in some ways from the 1991, but in other
Watch your back.
Other ways, a little bit cheaper, which kind of makes sense. After losing money on the previous model, Mercedes was very cautious to not go too crazy. Oh, we do have a screen now. So this is an entirely new user interface that they call Command, or Cockpit Management and Data System. So serious. They really wanted you to feel like James Bond in this car. I feel like the buttons have taken a bit of a nosedive here. They don't have the funk of the ones from the old cars. Compared to the last one we drove, this is suddenly starting to feel extremely floaty. It's less like I'm driving, it's more like I'm being carried on the roads. So the key new thing that was brought to the table this generation is preemptive safety. Cars are getting smart enough at this point to not just respond quickly if there's an accident, but actually before there's an accident. So there's actually an entire array of sensors on this car effectively judging my real-time driving performance. The car's looking for a number of different patterns, like sudden braking or rapid back and forth of your steering wheel, or your tires losing grip with the surface. And it will do a whole load of things to brace you for impact. So your seatbelts will tighten, your seat itself will actually move to the middle position. So not so far back that you're reclining and not so far forward that your head's gonna smack into the steering wheel. Even your sunroof and the windows will shut as fast as they can to limit the chance of objects entering the cabin. Very much a game changer of a feature that other car manufacturers were scrambling to come up with their own versions of. So the tech was very ahead of its time here, but a lot of people weren't particularly happy with some of the cost cuttings when it came to materials and just the general heft of the car. So when it came to the next generation in 2005, Mercedes wanted to make sure they fixed that perception. I would basically say that 2005 was the year of the assist. Blind spot assist, lane keeping assist, speed limit assist, even like adaptive high beam assist. This is essentially where Mercedes cars became not just able to do some cool things, but intelligent enough that they could do those cool things unprompted. Like, for example, there's a camera right here that's tracking lane markings. If you suddenly start to drift out of your lane without indicating, then the car understands that that's probably you starting to fall asleep. So it turns that into an action which is vibrating your steering wheel. Right next to that is actually a night vision projector, which can turn on when the light gets low and emit infrared light, which lets you see 200 meters ahead of you, even to where your headlamps can't. Or, like, for example, it has adaptive cruise control. So the car maintains whatever speed you set it to, but also now with a set of extra radar sensors on the front, which allow it to automatically speed up and slow down to maintain whatever distance you would like with the car in front of you. With the brake now even having the ability to self-activate if it thinks you might hit them. Just tons of stuff like this with this car that really makes you feel like they grabbed 100 engineers, stuck them in a room and said, what could go wrong while driving? Fix it. Plus, unlike the 1998 model, which was a little buggy at launch, the tech this time has been a lot more thoroughly tested. And it's all finished off with a serious return to form when it comes to the interior. Like, this is nice. This is already better than like 99% of cars I've driven in. Oh, everything is just a thick, soft touch material or brushed metal. Oh my God. So this screen has something called split view, which means the passenger and the driver with the same display can actually see two different things. So I could be over here with my navigation on screen, and someone in the passenger seat can be controlling the radio at the same time. And then this wheel on the remote allows you to select whose view you're controlling. The buttons are a little better, but it's just so hard to beat cars like the Ponton. We're also getting a lot more treated in the rear. You've got a drop-down mirror, you've got a screen on the back. This is starting to feel very top 1%. You know what? You might actually be getting an even better experience back here, like this. It's a mini fridge. This is the point at which it feels like the S-Class has finally found itself. It knows what it wants to be, and people seem to want it, with this becoming the second best-selling S-Class ever. So, like, where do you go from there? How do you improve upon a car that assists you in every way you could want, that people raved about, and that
Right.
Are you trying to make me angry?
sold phenomenal numbers. Well, the 2013 model was where Mercedes just decided to have a bit of fun with it, do the things that they wanted to do. For example, this is actually the first car in the world that's completely ditched traditional light bulbs. It's all LED, which has like a 10 times longer lifespan. It drains less power, and it's also more controllable, which means you can have certain parts of the light not on, which is specifically good for reducing the chance of dazzling someone. At least in the bad way anyway. But also it produces a cleaner, whiter light that just looks sick compared to the last one. Also, seating. We've already had heated seats for a long time at this point, but this is kind of next level. This has hot stone massage seats. We're moving further and further away from physical controls, but ooh, this wheel is actually a low-key highlight, a sleeper hit. By massage standards,
to accept your fate.
It's not very intense, but I guess that probably makes sense. You don't really want to be getting pummeled.
Can I see that?
While you're trying to precisely navigate traffic. I get it sounds so excessive, but it was around this point that Mercedes had time to think. What would make someone driving this car happier, less stressed? And so they actually conducted an entire study solely centered around just lowering the heart rate of people sitting in one of these cars. Okay, let's see if they work. I find this so interesting because within these studies, they found a whole bunch of things like multi-zone ambient lighting. They found that especially cooler hues, they did actually reduce.
We made it to the magic door with less than 10 seconds left. A couple of last-second run-ins with the guards that populate the Constable Guild Hall took time we didn't have, but we managed to escape.
Must have been the wind.
Our contract completed, our mission objective fulfilled, our pockets loaded down with the ill-gotten gains we'd liberated from the cops. Not a bad day's work.
And got it.
Moments like this are when Thick as Thieves sings. Sneaking out of a tough situation, figuring out a new way to get to where you need to be. A last-second escape was
Today we're going sci-fi action adventure as we look at Aphelion, a game that was actually developed in collaboration with the European Space Agency. This one's come out in 2026, being published and developed by Dontnod, the same dev behind games like Life is Strange and Vampire, which was actually covered on the channel previously. So what is Aphelion, and is it worth picking up? Well, my plan is to give you enough to answer the most important question for yourself. Is it worth it? Let's get into it. Aphelion is set in the 2060s, where you take on the roles of Ariane Montclair and Thomas Cross. You're going to be switching between them as you play through different chapters. The pair are astronauts who were sent by the European Space Agency to a newly discovered planet called Persephone, a planet based on the theory of a possible ninth planet at the edge of our solar system. The point was to determine if this planet could be humanity's new hope for colonization. The hope for colonization is fueled by a desperate search as Earth is facing total collapse of its habitability. Now, although the two were sent to scout the planet and determine its potential for colonization, as well as searching for resources, their ship, Hope 1, crash lands in the opening sequence. This leads to the astronauts being separated and stranded on this frozen and uncharted world. They need to survive and make their way across the surface to complete their mission and search for each other. The game is a third-person action-adventure, and it's going to follow a very linear path that has a strong story narrative element to it. Aphelion is separated into 11 distinct chapters, each running anywhere from about half an hour to an hour. So you're looking at a total experience somewhere in the range of 8 to 12 hours, depending on how thorough you are. While playing through the story, you do alternate between the two characters, and their gameplay does feel slightly different in practice. Ariane's chapters lean more into covering distance and traversal, while Thomas's sections are a little bit slower paced, with some additional survival mechanics layered in. The main feature of this game is traversal over a frozen world, so there's going to be a bunch of climbing, platforming, grapple hook climbing, and swinging. And there will be some limited exploration within the chapter zones, though for the most part you're going to be moving in a very specific direction with...
Are you?
So now that we've discussed the game and what it is and what to expect, you hopefully have an idea of if this one is worth it for you. The next section is just going to be completely my own experience and if I like the game or not. Keep in mind that whether or not I like the game, it shouldn't be used to determine if you're going to like it or not. It's just for fun here. Or if you've already played through the game, you can see how your experience compared to mine. So did I enjoy Aphelion?
It's not without its charm.
This one gets a very strong, it was okay. It's a solidly average experience. It definitely wasn't bad, but it wasn't an amazing time overall. Like I said, the game is prioritizing story over gameplay, and this is fine, but it does mean that the actual gameplay can start to feel a little repetitive. A really great example of this is the ledge grabbing that I mentioned. So basically, Basically, every time you need to jump and grab a ledge, you're going to hear this.
Ah!
If you ever caught yourself wondering if PS2 games still hold up, I suggest picking up a copy of Onimusha Warlord. intents and purposes, it's exactly the same as it was when it came out in 2001, and that's not necessarily a good thing in 2019.
サマノスケがこの城を去ってから心細くて私。
Onimusha Warlords is a classic take on the survival horror genre set in feudal Japan. Think Resident Evil, but instead of zombies and biological horrors, you battle demons and undead abominations from Japanese mythology. This re-release is not without updates, but they're minor additions. The most notable are its new HD graphics. Unfortunately, they're not new like you find in a full-on remaster. The graphics are wrapped in shiny new high-resolution textures, but otherwise the same as they were in 2001, and boy oh boy, do they look it. The pre-rendered backgrounds, the hallmark of PS1 and PS2 era survival horror, look muddy and primitive when the light of high definition shines upon them. Character animations are stiff, and faces have an unnatural plastic smoothness to them. The pre-rendered cutscenes were a real treat in 2001, but in 2019, they look their age. Speaking of which, one of the most glaring old-school quirks in Onimusha Warlords are its unskippable cutscenes. You can't even skip through dialogue. It's incredibly frustrating when you lose to a boss or otherwise die and have to sit through the same cutscene again. Like many other turn-of-the-century survival horror games, you spend roughly 50% of your time fighting enemies and 50% of your time.
What is all this?
Running around to find an item to fit in a lock so you can open the next part of the game. There's a lot of back and forth here. For all its dusty gameplay mechanics and frustrating old-school backtracking, I still found myself enjoying Onimusha. I definitely swore more than once
Watch your back.
We are back with another episode of Before You Buy. The first
This is...
No, man. No. Oh. 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 Basically, I don't want to fuck this stuff, but the thing is so fucking high and fucking hate. Last time I was playing as fucking this, and then I got fucking lucky. You motherfucker? You motherfucker?
Pretty much but to be completely honest, since the game's released, I haven't jumped back into them again, so I wasn't sure what to think going into this, but I'll get to that. Your adventure starts with Samanosuke and Kaede on a quest to save...
I'm honestly a little bit concerned about...
Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm with one of the most popular Mercedes models of the early 2000s.
The i7
This car went
6900.
head-to-head with the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4. You can now pick these up for less than £2,000, which is a bit dangerous because it means that everyone starts thinking they can afford a Mercedes. So I suppose the real question is, should you buy one? Well, let's find out, shall we? The car behind me is known as the W203 model, and it ran from the year 2000 to 2006. It's technically the third generation C-Class, the first being the 201, which was the 190e, the second being the 202. You can see what they did, can't you? What this is a fairly ordinary compact executive saloon, but here in 2025 they're a bit of a bargain. And as far as I can tell, if you can find a good one, a certain future classic. I've noticed in recent years prices of nice 190es have rocketed, and over the last couple of years the same thing has happened with the 202. So I'm certain now the design of this has hit 25 years old, the same thing's going to happen. It just will. The thing that separates the 203, I think, from its rivals is its high-synth bouquet appeal. You see, 25 years later, this still looks stylish, sophisticated and classy. I think it's just aged gracefully. It looks like a mini 220S class. Overall, it's a really balanced design. I love the front end of this because it's just unmistakably Mercedes. I like the grille, I like the standard body style, and I like these teardrop headlights. It says just enough without shouting about it. From the side, I think the lines are nice and clean. It's just a really simple design, and I think that's part of the reason it's aged so well. Moving around the back, it is like a Mini S again. These lights are very similar to the ones you'd get on the 220s. You know, from various angles, I see different Mercedes. I can see some 209 CLK, I can see some 211 E-Class, but I think its biggest resemblance is the S. I just think it's understated, neat, and it doesn't scream for attention like most modern Mercedes. Now, the biggest issue with these is rust. You see, Mercedes in the early 2000s switched to water-based paint, and that just meant that the whole thing's just rotted away. Most of these C-Classes you see in the UK are in a complete state. The worst of the rust happens on the boot lid, the bottom of the doors and the sills. If you don't believe me, take a look at the video I did with a 210 E-Class from the same era. That thing was a complete mess. The model I'm in today is from 2005, and this is a facelift model. They
reduce the heart rate of both the driver and the passenger. They found that people were calmer when they could hear less road noise. So this is now laminated acoustic glass, and there's a lot more sound dampening foam specifically targeted in the areas of the car that were found to be noisier. And I would say I can tell. I would say this feels at least one tier quieter than even the 1998 model. They even found that pure air and nice scents were part of the equation. So this is the car where they also introduced the air balance system, which is essentially take out pollutants, add in nice fragrances. I don't know if you can see this, I'm sweating. It's so hot in here. Car's like a freaking furnace. We gotta keep the AC off because of the noise. And then also, they took the car's awareness even further. So this cannot just now keep you in a lane, it keeps you in the center of that lane. And it doesn't just warn the driver, it will actually steer for the driver. Whoa, what is happening to my seat? What is going on? As I was just turning, this seat actually nudged me slightly to the left. So it's keeping me in the optimal position should anything happen. And then while it does still rely on the more in-the-moment sensors like camera and radar to figure out where it needs to be, this is the first time that the car also combines that data with a bigger picture understanding of where it is, thanks to GPS and maps. Which means, and let this sink in, the car will adjust its speed, its suspension, and its cornering for a terrain before it even gets to that terrain. By the way, the camera we're filming this with is our sponsor, the Insta360 X5, just because it's the most versatile camera that I own. It's the only type of camera that can record this view. One is on your phone while in the driver's seat while going at 95 kilometers per hour. How is that possible? Well, essentially just by building in an absolute ton of redundancies or backup systems. This car literally has backups to the backups to the backups. There's 4 different systems just telling the car where it is, for example. So much so that Mercedes is actually happy to come in and say, hey, we take responsibility for the task of driving away from the customer. And that's how you get to level 3. So even if your car can drive itself, it's not level 3 driving unless the manufacturer themselves takes responsibility over your safety in it. It's only legal to engage this autonomous driving in specifically designated areas. Like, for example, here in Germany, the Autobahn, which is why we are driving to one now, can actually feel some of the benefits of these somewhat excessive interior features, like the heads-up display, which is keeping the important information where my eyes should be anyway, I say while looking at the camera over there. Okay, so the light has come on my steering wheel, which means the car knows it's on an Autobahn and is ready to engage. So, there you go. So it's going to take a couple of seconds, and while it does that, these turquoise lights are coming on. Okay.
Take off your hands.
And take off my hands.
Many people fear modern-day Mercedes-Benz with all of the high technology, turbocharged, direct-injected engines, hybrid, big screens. But for fear once warranty's gone, nobody wants to be stuck holding the bag. Many people just like to buy the older Benzes, the older G-classes and some of the old classics with diesel engines that we know are good for hundreds of thousands of miles. I've got an amazing list for you. 5 of the best Mercedes-Benz on the used car market. You're going to want to get your hands on these. No warranty, no problem. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. Simplicity in electronics. There's not a whole lot of electrical components. Love these for years, especially the diesel engines. We're talking about the W124 generation that runs from 1984 to about 1997. Specifically, the diesel engines are legendary. You can run 500, 700,000 miles all day long with a little bit of maintenance. Cast iron engines, simplicity in electronics. There's not a whole lot of electrical components to go wrong on these old vehicles. And with diesel engines like the OM603 and the OM606, it's no wonder they garnered that reputation. People trusted the brand way back in the day. And these are some of those legendary models which I've entrusted. I've actually got a neighbor who's got one of these and it's still running. He's got hundreds of thousands of kilometers. He has a wee bit of oil leak, but this thing just keeps on trucking. The big thing you've got to consider is check for rust. Some of these older vehicles, naturally, the more time on the road, the more exposure to salt and salty conditions, and they could in fact start to deteriorate. But if it's a well looked after car, and you'll know pretty quickly, get a great PPI done, a pre-purchase inspection, and have them look it up and down. Look for bodywork issues, repaints, and on top of it, look for bushings and ball joints, and all of those components on the suspension are really the only weaknesses. I mean, let's be honest, with 200, 300, 400,000 miles on a car, the rubbers are going to start to get dry, they're going to start to get clunky, and a quick test drive will know pretty quickly if the car veers from one side to the other, if it's clunking when you're hitting bumps, then you'll probably know there's some dollars to be spent on the suspension. That being said, the engines are almost bulletproof. And if you're looking for an older used Mercedes-Benz and you want absolutely nothing to do with the new vehicles, with these big screens and turbo 4s, well, the W124 might in fact have you answered. The Mercedes using bad fuel could be a problem. Pay attention. From about 1982 to 1993, and specifically we're talking about the 190. I always loved the 190E with their 4-cylinder engines, but the 190D is specifically what we're talking about. Compact, stout package, reliable, well built. The doors were like a vault. You know, my first experience, I worked for a Toyota dealer many years ago, and I was in and out of brand new Toyotas, and I was shockingly surprised when they brought an older 190E on the lot. Yeah, it was a used car that was traded in, or they picked it up at the auction. I was shocked how solid the doors were, how well built everything was, and while it was simple, you felt the solidity. It was built in a way that vehicles today just can't even match. But if you're looking to join the ranks of some of the most legendary diesel engines by Mercedes, the OM601 and OM602 could in fact have...
Fuck out of here, man.
K
What?
used to be a cool processor and cost $1,000. 2 of them would already be 2K. 3 would be 3K. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm good at math. But 4 of these CPUs would already be serious money. Still, none of them can compare to today.
Facelifted the 203 in late 2004, and there were some changes for the facelift. Let me talk you through them. Up front, you got a revised bumper, grille, and clear headlights, which look a whole lot better. You got a slightly revised rear bumper and rear lights. You also got clear indicators in the door mirrors. The whole thing just looked a lot more fresh. The biggest changes, though, came on the inside. Let me show you the interior. Inside, it's not exactly Mercedes of old. You see, the 203 marked the beginning of Mercedes cheapening out a little bit, and it shows. Some of the plastics look a bit shiny, some of the buttons feel a little bit cheap, and on pre-facelifts, there were quite a few rattles. That said, it did improve with the facelift. And I mean, if you take a look at the compare.
If we can actually reach Yakutsk with this car, I do not think this is a good idea. Oh my god, what's with the clutch?
I'm crossing Siberia alone in a tiny car and Yakutsk is only 2 days away. But at minus 50, the car is now beyond its limits.
The car is like driving on bricks. The wheels are not round anymore.
If the car fails out here, the situation quickly becomes life-threatening.
I hope it's not too far. I need to hurry. The window next to me is fully covered in ice. It's like a lot of ice.
Today is the first day the temperature drops below the car's design limit of minus 45 degrees. And almost immediately, the car starts reacting to being pushed beyond what it was built for.
The water tank is frozen from the bottom. Well, made some DIY cover. Not so sure if it's enough or if it's allowed, but I'm going to do it anyway. Look at those guys. They have a car on top of their roof. 33 degrees below zero. There is a dog sitting in the middle of the road here. Why is it doing that? Wait, we need to give the dog some food. Poor dog. We're gonna give it a part of my breakfast. Look, food. Look. Drinking bottle is in my door. Look, all ice on it.
Isn't that fucking wolf?
Here are some bad sections.
Bridges are maintained by a different organization and it's always a surprise how bad these sections are.
I've decided to put on the heated soles. Look, the sole with the cable. And actually, there's power on the cable. I don't think you should feel it when you touch it, but now hopefully my feet are going to heat up a bit. Let's continue.
Yakutsk is a city of around 390,000 people where January temperatures average around minus 37 degrees Celsius. The minus 64 degrees Celsius, often seen in many thumbnails here on YouTube, are misleading as this was a record measured in the year 1891, not in a normal winter. Temperatures are expected to reach minus 50 degrees Celsius over the next few days, which is extreme even for Yakutsk. It only gets this cold about 6 or 7 days a year. At minus 50, all schools close, so even locals do not consider this a normal winter day.
Minus 40, guys. Minus 40. So I'm trying to take off with... the Hoover air drone, and look, it says low battery. Now the thing is, if it was actually low battery, but it's not, it's actually at 99%. I just flew a bit in the cold, but did I break the battery? It's a thermo battery. Look, I can try it. No, it says low battery.
The Hoover air drone usually works great, but temperatures below minus 30 clearly are beyond what it was designed for.
Look, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a halo around the sun, all around, and even in the top there. Look at that.
Most people wait until they feel ready, but the truth is, you never really do. You take the first step and then the next. That is how impossible journeys begin. Not with confidence, but with the decision to keep moving when everything tells you to turn back. That is exactly how this journey came to life.
So how far is it still? It is 671 kilometers. Thinking my car is smoking heavily, white smoke, but it's just the condensation. Hopefully I'm right, I can't check it here, but sometimes it looks like burning oil. I'm going to try some manual control. Battery 79%. It does. I just stepped out of the car to see some of the surroundings because I'm only sitting in the car and seeing the same things all the time, but
as the sun sinks over Siberia, the real test is still ahead. After dark, temperatures will fall fast and even a small problem could quickly become serious.
There's no fuel, 95, it's empty. Okay, well, good that we have jerry cans. So.
A little further down the road I found another station, but 95 octane petrol is a scarce commodity here.
At a single pump that has 95. Going. Спасибо большое, до свидания. Actually, the only words I know, but they're working very good. So all the fuel that they consume on this road in Yakutsk is being brought in by these trucks. You see a lot of them driving on this road. Okay, let's go again. It's still 540 kilometers to Yakutsk, so...
As the Siberian sun gets closer to the horizon under clear skies, the temperatures will drop quickly.
I wanted to start driving to do our last section of today, and then I drove past the supermarket. They're definitely less fully stacked than the other supermarkets that we've been.
Day 0, the unlocked i7-6950X with 10 cores and 20 threads, which launched at $1,700 in 2016. As you can probably tell from the size of these CPUs, this is for the server-grade LGA 2011 V3 socket. These Pokemon had 8 cores, and back then that was more than enough for almost everything. Then I honestly don't even know who, besides enthusiasts, would have needed a CPU like this 10 years ago. I found the motherboard almost in a full original bundle from those years. Just look at this queen of budget gaming builds, the Asus ROG Rampage V Edition 10. Which was the top board for the LGA 2011 V3 socket and cost $600 at launch. I don't know how many power phases it has, but I think it's enough considering it has 2 CPU power connectors, 8 plus 4 pin. The board itself is eATX and weighs almost 2 kilograms. As you can see, CIE slots, power and reset button, because as you can see, there are a lot of X16 slots here. And the board even has 2 removable BIOS chips. For SATA drives, there are 2 separate controllers, so some drives can work in RAID and others in AHCI. The rear I/O selection is interesting too. Now let's see what else Asus included with the motherboard that by itself cost as much as a whole decent average PC back then. Here we have a Wi-Fi antenna, some special bracket for installing the CPU, which I'm not even going to use because God forbid I drop the processor into the socket. A bunch of brand new sealed SATA cables, which I'm about to unpack because we'll need as many as 6 of them. Some kind of fan controller that I probably won't use either, but thanks for including it anyway. There's also a 4-way and 3-way SLI bridge, which I will be using today. And an external Supreme FX Hi-Fi sound card for the front panel of the case, powered by a 6-pin cable. The motherboard, by the way, was sold with a 6-core i7-6850K, but that one is not the hero of today's video. So I'm putting in our 6950X and moving on to the memory, because as you can see, the motherboard has no less than 8 RAM slots. That's exactly why I bought a whole pile of G-Skill memory. I actually liked these fancy modules based on Samsung B-Die chips. Just look at the amount of memory here. Just imagine how many budget builds could have been made for starving children somewhere out there. But almost all this is going into one negative budget PC. Of course, this isn't memory from 2016, it's a 2020 equivalent, but who cares? It's basically the same thing. I'm going to install 2 sets of 4 sticks, this one and this one. The price would have been $700 for 8 sticks in 2016 for a total of 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory. If the overclock goes badly, I'll leave just 4 sticks, because even then we'll still have 32 gigabytes. The Thermaltake Level 10 GT is a full tower case released all the way back in 2011, but it was still being sold up until 2016, which is why I picked it, because it's a pretty unusual machine. And on top of that, it came with the original box, which is so filthy that I just hope there aren't any cockroaches in it. Although there are free bottles included, which is very considerate of the seller, apparently. This is what this beast looks like. As you can see, it looks pretty unusual. Rumor has it BMW Group Design had a hand in it, and while I'm trying to figure out where the oil goes, I want to ask you something. Do you ever have those moments where some tiny thing annoys you way more than it should? Like, in the moment it feels huge, and then later when you calm down, you realize it was actually something really small? I get that sometimes. Usually it's not even about that one small thing. It's more like your brain is already overloaded, and then one extra little problem is enough to push you over the edge. And I think that's why it's important to slow down sometimes and actually understand what's going on in your head instead of just reacting to everything. This part of the video is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Therapy can be a practical way to slow down, reflect, or defend my health. Dear God, what even is that? Hair or something? Ugh, I just hope it's not contagious. This 200mm fan has seen a lot of shit. As it turned out, despite a few minor scratches and this little metal plate right here, the case is in very good condition. There's no rust on it, all the plastic is intact. Well, almost all of it. damn electric screwdriver ruins everything. By the way, this case locks and unlocks with a key, meaning the side panel and the drive bays. This right here is the key slot, but there were no keys included, and thank God everything was already open. I tried to route the cables the same way they originally were, and I noticed there really isn't that much room for wires in the back. You'll see why later. The side panel is a work of art on its own in this PC. Not only does it have a 200mm fan, but it also has adjustable louvers that let you direct the airflow up or down, just like the heater or AC vents inside a car. BMW guys realize that because of that, the side panel won't close for shit, and I'll have to redo it. But for now, I'll just pretend everything is fine. Well then, I think it's time to put the motherboard into the case. Damn. Turns out the board is so wide that it partially blocks the cable routing holes. See that? Who designs this stuff? Seriously. So now I'm gonna take the board back out and shove the cables through the neighboring openings. For this system, I'll be using this 500GB Samsung SSD, which back in 2014 cost about as much as an entire budget PC of that time.
Yeah! Oh yeah, it's just dead.
I need help. Help with this.
Time, $500. Have you noticed that almost every single component in this PC literally costs as much as a decent budget PC, and sometimes not even a budget one that you could have built in 2016 and it would have comfortably run almost every game at ultra settings? I'm just reminding you of that so you fully understand the level. Why am I even telling you this? So there and has officially declared bankruptcy, as you can see. On by 6 screws. Like I said, being done by this lick personally, packed just like it from the TI version. I'm drawing that conclusion because he never replied to my message, which means it wasn't a mistake, that was just the one he had. Although, why am I even telling you this? And the second graphics card? Yeah, that's right. Was apparently shipped by vendor LG personally, packed just like it came from the factory. It would be funny if he actually watches me and turns out to be a subscriber. As you can see, you don't exactly have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that this is also a GTX 1080, but this time from MSI, in collaboration with Corsair Pyrotechnics Seahawk Edition. The blower fan here is basically installed for decoration, while the actual cooling work is being done by this liquid cooler. And since these were two of the most powerful cards 10 years ago, they're obviously going to be connected with an SLI bridge. The Founders Edition, according to the seller, was already cleaned, so there's no point in taking it apart. But as for the one with the liquid radiator, I think not only does it need cleaning, but it'll also just be interesting to see how it's built inside. I'm not going to show how I washed the radiator itself, but I will show everything else. And as it turned out, I definitely didn't open it up for nothing, because there's a lot of dirt in here. I'll wipe down everything I can reach and then start taking apart the cooling system, or more specifically, the top shroud, which is held on by 6 screws. Like I said, the blower fan here is almost illegitimate, while the main workload is handled by this pump, which I'll still clean up a little bit, but the main things that
Ah!